Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Just a brown girl in America. If this is your first time clicking on, I appreciate you for clicking on this video. If you're coming back from my previous videos, because this is a new channel, I would like to welcome you back. Like I said, I just want to get to know you guys. We're going to learn some information, have fun, get that new information out. But today, I'm not going to hold you long because we do have kind of a long, it's not a long video, but it's an informative video, and I just want you guys to um, enjoy this like I have. And also, like I said, we here so we can be informed voters. We can turn up to be free thinkers, and we won't be controlled by any other ideologies that are not our own. Okay? So, with that being said, I just got a question because this is something, I'm sorry, my puppies are in here, and otherwise they would have been barking. They don't want to leave. They're playing. I apologize. I'm sorry. If they continue, they will have to leave from beneath my feet. Yes, I have dogs beneath my feet. But without further ado, I want to talk about liberals. We did the previous video. I kind of showed you the history of the Democratic Party um, and how that affected us. And then, I asked you guys some questions. Was there a switch? Do you think there was a switch? And now you move forward because they call Democrats kind of fall in. They're like white liberals. They kind of always been called that. So my question is, did the white liberal destroy the African American community? Now, this is a complex and sensitive topic for a lot of people with diverse perspectives. But I just want to go on the more informed side, and then we can, create our own beliefs. That's all I want to do. But some argue that certain policies by the white liberal have negative impacts on the black community. For example, they've had initiatives such as the 1970 Soul City, which was largely based on the theory of black capitalism. It has been attributed that was sabotaged by the white liberal. Some people criticize the progressive whites for opposing efforts to address systematic racism, such as school integration. Now, when they say school integration and they mix up, like I told you, we mix up the words and they try to make them all fancy. School integration, some wanted to be integrated and some blacks didn't want to be integrated. But we're going to get to that later on in the video because we're going to talk about how do, we're going to go deeper in this, how do we fall for the banana and the But with that being said, some people suggest that liberals use the civil rights movement to create like the prison systems, contributing to challenges faced by the African American community. But with that being said, don't take it from me. I'll take it from my reading and my research. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I am interested and I am open, but I also am the dumbest knife in there, the dumbest. So, with that being said, because it is Black History Month, don't think I forgot. So we doing Black History. Black History. Okay? I want to go to Malcolm X. I love Malcolm X. Okay? I've always kind of been intrigued by him, but as I've gotten older, sometimes you come to realize kind of where you fall in, where you align, you dig more into a person's thought process, not what's just told, like in the schools or just in the movies. You gotta go deeper. You gotta actually hear what people say, you know, listen. Don't just take clips and phrases of people and run with it. You need to know the full context. All right. So, with that being said, we are going to watch this speech from Malcolm X. It's not long, but it's a good watch. And he is talking about the white liberal and the conservative. So he's talking about both of them. I just want you to pay attention. We're going to watch together. Okay? We're going to watch together and just enjoy his history. Suck it in. All right. Without further ado, we're going to get it.
Crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want.
You hear what he said? Now, for those of you who don't know, when they say liberal, they're usually talking about a Democrat. When they say conservative, they're normally talking about a Republican. They both want the same thing, which is power. But the white liberal, deceitful, I ain't gonna stop it more.
Power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part, and the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes, or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie, who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no racial pride whatsoever, who believe in and look forward to the future integrated, intermarried society that is constantly being promised to them by the Negro politician. And therefore, this integration-minded 3 million minority remain an active part of the white-controlled political parties. But it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters. The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They have refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority, who, because they are ashamed of their race, because they are ashamed of being black and don't want to be identified with black, they are seeking to lose this black identity by mixing and mingling and intermarrying and integrating with the white society. The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the white-minded, brainwashed minority. The white man must try to learn what the black majority wants. The president would be wise to try and learn what the black masses want. And the only way to find this out is by listening to the man who speaks for the black masses. And I can declare to you tonight and to the entire world that the man here in America who speaks for the majority, the downtrodden, dissatisfied black masses, is this same man who so many thousands of our people are flocking toward to see and hear. This same Mr. Muhammad, who is labeled by you as a black supremacist and as a racist and as an extremist. If the 3 million middle-class Negroes are casting their ballots for integration and intermarriage, what do the non-voting black masses who are in the majority want? Find out what the black masses want, and then perhaps America's grave race problem can be solved.
The religion and all that, I want to focus on basically what he was saying. If you heard what he was saying about both of these radical sides of these parties, but listen closely to what he said about the liberal side of the party. And then if you're talking about us not voting, if we all not like really understanding politics or not that interested in politics, trying to figure out what's going on, but then we just voting and voting and voting, you know, it's really not doing this. Back then, he was talking about the 11 million. Out of 11 million, you got 3 million Black Americans voting. 11 million are eligible to vote, but only 3 million voting. You got the 8 million that's doing their thing. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the bulls, so they rather stay out of it. See, they was noticing this whole race hustling thing way back then when we talk about race hustling too. You know? So I'm just trying to see like we need to get out and vote. We need to know what we voting for. We need to know what values that we are voting for, whose values, all skin folk, a kin folk. Now that's a preach right there. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Just because they are black or the same race as you or have your same interests or they LGBT or they this or they that or they man or they, does not mean that they align with everything that you align with. But they try to lump these groups together, especially the Democrats, especially now. It's like this whole just who's more of oppressed, who's more of a victim, who's fighting. And then now you see with these policies and this border going on, you see who they actually care about. It ain't you. It's about power. So I'm just saying we need to be more informed. Now, I also want to bring up my friend Thomas Sowell because along with what Malcolm was talking about, and he was talking about the Upper East. He was basically talking about the race hustlers. They make money off of this. We got modern day race hustlers. This stuff was going back from way before then. Now, let me give you the definition of a race hustler. Race hustler. People who incite, promote division or fear mongering to exploit racial and ethnic tensions in order to gain personal, political, ideological, or financial gain or some type of other agenda. A lot of time it's power and money. And there's a lot of those. But let me tell you, let me get us set up on what we need to do. And we are going to get into this, okay? Now, those who don't know Thomas Sowell, he's brilliant. He's intelligent. On a black man, he's like grandpa. It's like grandpa, but that's what I'm saying. Like our community, they don't push. Why don't they push these people? Why don't they the way they push like Jesse Jackson from Martin Luther King, all these other certain people, or they keep us stuck with like the Underground Railroad, but they won't show this person to us. They won't show Larry Elder to us. They won't push him on us. Okay. So, but what we're gonna do, and I want to make sure I got the right one. No, let's do this one. Hold on, not yet. He is going to talk about the race industry. Yes, it's an industry. You didn't know that? Yes. So he's going to talk about the industry, and I'm going to make myself small. Okay. So you can see all of it.
The race industry that you talk about?
Oh, heavens, there's so many of them. There's the NAACP, which once played a very important role. But one of the problems with any institution that has one goal is that once they've achieved that goal, they don't say, all right, folks, we'll have a going out of business ceremony. They have to go on. The EEOC, for example, when they're there to prevent discrimination. But as discrimination declines, they have to expand the definition of discrimination so that now if you don't want to hire people who have been in prison, they think that's discrimination.
You write in Intellectuals in Race that the kind of society to which that can lead when you talk about the race industry, et cetera, and emotion, is one in which a newborn baby enters the world supplied with pre-packaged grievances against other babies born the same day.
Yes. Yes. This idea that you can redress history which we see in a specific context in this country. It's around the world. I mean, the Czechs, when they first formed Czechoslovakia after the First World War, one of the goals they had was to redress the injustices of the 17th century. You know, nobody from the 17th century was alive at the end of the First World War. And so they tried to take this out by having policies that would favor the Czechs over the Germans and so on. And they set in motion a chain of events in which Czechs and Germans were both worse off than they had ever been before, and both were victims of tragedy, trying to undo what happened to people who are now long dead.
Do we have policies in this country that are formed the same way?
Oh, yes. Yes, we're one of many affirmative action, the demand for reparations, and so on. One of the sad things is that we talk in this country as if slavery was something unique to the United States or to blacks and whites. And in point of fact, slavery was one of the oldest institutions among human beings. They go back as far as there is recorded history. And in every single part of the world, Polynesians enslaved other Polynesians. For most of history, people enslaved people who were the same race as themselves for the simple reason that they simply didn't have the resources to go to another continent and take people from another continent and move them en masse someplace else. But late in history, this is what happened in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere. Many things, much of the pathology of the black community today is said to be a legacy of slavery. The irony is, if you look at facts, for example, the breakdown of the family, most black kids grew up in homes with two parents under slavery itself and for generations thereafter. And as late as the 1960s, most black children grew up in two-parent homes. It's only when you start in with the massive Great Society, so-called, and other such things, that you see the family that had survived all of this for all this time now begin to disintegrate.
From Intellectuals in Race, Dr. Thomas Sowell, there is other evidence that the black subculture has a negative effect on intellectual achievement. In other words, brighter black students do not perform as well in settings where there are many other black students around them, contrary to the theory that what is needed in educational institutions is some larger critical mass of black students.
Yes. There are studies which I cite in there which show that. So it's not just my opinion of the whole thing. One of the studies I did many years ago was of a school, Dunbar High School in Washington, which was a very outstanding all-black academic institution. And over the years, from 1892 to 1954, something like, I forget the number now, 34, I think it was, graduates of Dunbar High School went to Amherst College. Very few at any given time, so there was never a critical mass, so-called, there. 3/4 of these kids graduated, and of those who graduated, more than 1/4 were Phi Beta Kappas. So clearly, you don't need a critical mass. They never had anything resembling a critical mass. What you need is a good educational background, and the absence of people who would distract you from what the real purpose of the college is.
All right. You heard it from the man himself. It's ridiculous. This stuff been going on for so long, the whole race hustling. And it's really heartbreaking that people would just make money off of it. It's actually disgusting. Yeah, I'm going to say disgusting first. And then when you think about it, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because so many black people look up to these people and think they listen, they hang on to every word. Yeah, all they gotta do is say somebody racist and that's it. They'll riot, they'll tear up their own neighborhoods behind it. And this stuff all being orchestrated by the people that you claim you're trying to fight against. But you in lockstep with them. Like, I don't even understand how, and you know it's a conspiracy, like, and brainwashing, really. Because when you got people that literally in lockstep with each other on every issue, every policy, every ideology, all it takes is somebody to say it, who they revere, a celebrity or somebody like that. It's crazy. Listen to this. Booker T. Washington. Now, he said this back in 1911. 1911. There is a class of colored people who make it a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people don't want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. End quote. Booker T. Washington. You got it still to this day. To this day. And they teach, generational, they perpetuate these things, especially in the colleges now. And this push, 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 push. And everything now that they claim they fight against, they actually are creating more of. Because it's going to always be racism, racist people, what I'm saying, like individuals, people who have certain feelings about certain things and certain behaviors and ways, or whatever the case, it's going to always be there. But is this something that's just stopping you from going to get it? No. You want to know how I know? I did it. I used to be one of these same people. The Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, the now more modern Van Joneses, Joy Reid, Stunning Hostess, Whoopi Goldberg, all of them, you name it. Let's talk about Jesse Jackson. Let's talk about Jesse. We're gonna talk about Jesse Jackson. Yes. And I'm gonna show y'all this Thomas Sowell again. Um, my beautiful people. This is Thomas Sowell again. They're asking him about Jesse Jackson. And I just thought this was really good because these people are insufferable. You know?
Is Jesse Jackson good for African Americans or not?
No, he's good for himself.
Good for himself.
And that's true of most ethnic leaders in most groups, in most countries, in most periods of history. That what will serve his interest is to keep people paranoid, dependent upon him, dependent upon government. What will serve their interest is typically just the opposite.
Was the civil rights movement good for the African American in all ways, or were there any downsides to it?
It was good in some ways. It was not, like most things, not good in all ways. It's a little like, a clock that stops will be right twice a day. And the liberals' assumptions worked in that particular case for a limited period. Unfortunately, along with that came many other things which destroyed law enforcement, which destroyed the family, which destroyed education.
Have you ever debated Jesse Jackson?
No, I haven't.
Is that because, would you like to, or would he not want to do that?
I have no idea.
What should the civil rights movement be for now?
Look at it. Look at that, y'all. I used to think he was fine back in the day. They put that good, her pretty boy up there. Rebel roused. Yup. Where they at now? Ain't got nothing done in all these years. Don't even make sense.
Should the civil rights movement be
That means you should be fired if you're not good at your job. Maybe.
for now?
Dissolution. They've won, declare victory, go home and start putting your efforts into something else like education, entrepreneurship, all kinds of other things that have a much bigger payoff.
Why don't they do that?
Because they're specialized. I mean, how come wrestlers don't go in for violin playing? Mm-hmm. Well, they don't have those skills.
I mean, there's nothing else Jesse Jackson can do?
Well, do you think Jesse Jackson can become a violinist?
I don't. Al Sharpton?
Not bloody likely.
So you're saying that the leaders, whatever group,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
wants the people to be poor and dependent on them as opposed to dependent on themselves.
Oh, absolutely. The people who are playing the race card at every turn, because the people who are hurting most by that are blacks themselves.
I am American.
Why have so many so-called civil rights and black leaders rejected? I mean, you know how much they dislike you. Why?
Well, why does the mafia dislike policemen? I mean, they're making their racket harder. You know that if people believe what I say, then of course they're not going to believe what these people say. These people have a huge investment in this. I mean, money and all the rest of it, power, the rest of it.
I think we've written that for the civil rights movement, emphasizing civil rights is the thing that will help blacks and other poor people the most. Is a distraction. It won't.
That's right. If you look at the data, you find that blacks were rising faster prior to the civil rights movement and since the civil rights movement. For all kinds of reasons, blacks were getting more education. They're getting.
Y'all hear that? We were rising before they start giving us welfare, kicking our husbands out, and decimating the black family, introducing crack. We were fine. We were fine. Oh, what they burnt it, build it again. I heard people to this day, people all this money, they would sit here and act like they are an anomaly, rich, still saying we need our own. Build it. You got Ice Cube over there, he trying to do something, but the people won't need. So then you get mad at him when he talk to the people that talk to. Get out of here, man.
But a quality of education in a different part of the country and so forth. Years ago, when I was giving a talk at Marquette, a young black man got up and he said, "I'm about to graduate from Marquette University, but what hope is there for me?" And I said, "There's about twice as much hope as there was for your parents, and 10 times what there was for your grandparents." But he has been convinced that he can't make it.
Married with a grown son of his own who didn't talk. Until he was nearly 4 years old, Thomas Sowell knows the importance of not giving up.
We knew there was going to be barriers. We would just keep going over them, through them, around them, or whatever. But now you've raised a whole generation of people who think it's absolutely hopeless.
Who's telling them that?
Oh.
Hi. I'm sorry. Why that man look like that? Why y'all be listening to him? That nigga had a. I'm sorry. I have to bleep that out. He had a perm.
Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, you can run through the whole list of them.
Mm-hmm. But it can't all be just blacks.
No, there are all sorts of whites who are saying the same thing. You know that every statistical disparity is proof that there are these huge barriers out there.
Yeah, y'all. So that's Mr. Soul again. Very, 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 very intelligent. I'm sorry, y'all. That Al Sharpton picture was funny. But yeah, so what y'all think? Leave it in the comments. We have got to talk about this. We've got to start talking about these things. Because we're going to build all the way up on our journey. We're going to get right back to how we got where we are now. We have to win. You can win. Ain't nothing holding you back. We're winning. It's voting season. That's why we're doing these videos. Vote with knowledge. Okay? Vote informed. Know where you lie. Now this stuff don't stop. You think that stopped with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton? No, it did not stop with them. It did not. Okay? I am, let me see, because you have, let me see if I can find it. And I thank y'all again. Hey, while I'm doing this, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Why are y'all forgetting to do that? I need you to smash, 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 smash the like button. Okay? Please. I would appreciate it. Share these videos to your friends, your family, whoever. Share it to everybody. Share it to your white friends, your Mexican friends, your black friends. Let everybody know. Okay? That's all you gotta do. Just let everybody know the truth. Tell them. Tell them. But we are going to get this because I want y'all to see this, okay? I really want y'all to see this. And then this is gonna be the last. And it's just a little clip, but you gotta see it. So let's try to see if we can get this open and found. Find and open. While I'm doing this, like, share, subscribe, share, subscribe. Help me grow this channel. And don't worry, I'm still building this channel. So it's gonna get better and better and better and better. Okay. But the most important thing is the information. The most important thing is we get to know each other. Okay. The most important thing. Don't you think? I think that's the most important thing. That we become friends. Okay. So here we go. I want to show y'all something. So remember, we were talking about the Al Sharptons, the Van Joneses, the Sunny Hoses, the Whoopies. And let's not forget Joy Reid, but I did find one because she is literally, she just got caught on a hot mic. So I'm inclined to think that she don't even believe half the stuff that she's saying. But she might do. And if she don't, that's even worse because that means she's spreading lies and misinformation. And actually, you want to talk about misinformation? Let's talk about Joy Reid and misinformation. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's a television host on MSNBC and a political, yeah, on MSNBC. She's a political commentator. She get a lot of criticisms throughout her career. She's been criticized for mainly focusing on race with everything. Like she can't even have a simple argument without race. Race is just what it is. I don't think she processes, which is a lot of like a lot of these people. They don't. That's like their first go to. There's never any critical thinking. Uh, but like I say, accused of being predictable, biased, not fact checking. One time, she had an interview with the guy with the uh, a CRT, critical race theory, Dr. Kendi, and over some comments about Senator Holly, but she didn't fact check it. And then when she found out of what she did, she didn't correct it. She never corrected it. Never corrects it. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much. Oh, and like Uncle Tom. So anybody that goes against what she believes, or not even just she, we talking about race hustlers. Then or if they have conservative values, or just at this point, it's just if you don't believe how they believe, you got to be brainwashed. She'll call you Uncle Tom. Now, she did face some backlash over referring to Clarence Thomas as Uncle Tom. Now, a lot of people will call black people Uncle Tom if they think they talk or act white, whatever that is. Or like I said, they just don't believe. But what they don't know is the history of Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was actually kind of a hero once I kind of learned about him. Well, maybe might do a video about that later on down the line. That's not the most important thing. If you want to, you can look that up though. Pretty good. But yes, so let's talk about Miss Joy. All right. With that being said, let's listen to her.
How to do fascism for fun and profit. If you are Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, you start out by making it illegal for schools to make white children feel discomfort while being taught about our nation's history of racial discrimination and violence.
Yeah, so, why would you want to make children feel discomfort at school? I don't know. Why would you want to make kids feel some kind of way? Like, why would you want to create that tension? Because for me, when you teach, especially little kids now, college level, that's a different. But when you're teaching these little kids, this device of information, the way it's being taught, because I'm not gonna say that all I know, but the way it's being taught, the way it's being spread around, why would you want to make a child feel bad for being who they are? Oh, I know why. So they could be who you want them to be. Mm. Why would you make a little black child learn that in order to succeed, they got all these hurdles and obstacles that they have to climb, which they do not have to these days. They have to pretty much work hard, study hard, go to school. Nothing systematic is in play from stopping you from going to school. You got governors, you got mayors that's black, you had a black president. I don't know if anybody forgot about that. I mean, some were big, I don't know. I mean, they everywhere. I can go on, the list goes on. News anchors, college like you have so many VAs, you got lawyers. I got amazing people in my family doing it. Like, I don't get it. But that being said, this video kind of went on long. You let me know what you guys think. Comment below, like, share, subscribe, send me videos. If you want me to look at them or react to them, and we're gonna get this going. Thank you again. Thanks for visiting Just a Brown Girl in America. My name is Nikki. You have a wonderful, wonderful